Most men over 45 have no idea they are shutting down their own testosterone every single night, not because they're aging, not because their body is failing, but because 5 invisible habits are silently draining the very biological fuel testosterone is made from before the body even gets the chance to rebuild it. And tonight, while you sleep, the same thing could happen again. But here's the part nobody tells you. There is a tiny hormonal window hidden between wakefulness and sleep, a window so powerful that ancient Taoist masters spent centuries protecting it like sacred knowledge. Modern endocrinology now confirms what they discovered over 2,000 years ago. If this window is activated correctly, your body can trigger an enormous testosterone rebound while you sleep. Not through pills. Not through injections. Not through morning motivation routines. Through a precise biological sequence that happens in the final 90 seconds before sleep. And most men completely miss it. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you the forgotten nighttime ritual designed to redirect your body's peak melatonin surge into a powerful androgenic rebound, the exact hormonal timeline that unfolds over 7 nights, and why thousands of men wake up feeling mentally sharper, physically stronger, and hormonally younger after correcting this one hidden biological mistake. Because what you're about to hear is not self-help. It's not spirituality. And it's definitely not another sleep hygiene lecture. This is about reclaiming a biological process your body was already designed to perform. And once you understand it, you may never look at sleep the same way again. Your pineal gland sits deep at the geometric center of your brain. Most people know it produces melatonin. But very few understand when melatonin reaches its peak, and why that timing matters more than almost anything else in your hormonal system. The most powerful surge happens during the hypnagogic threshold, that strange drifting state between consciousness and sleep, when thoughts become fragmented, images begin appearing behind closed eyes, and your nervous system enters maximum receptivity. That state only lasts around 90 seconds to 4 minutes. But during that brief period, your body prepares to launch its deepest hormonal repair cycle of the entire day. Ancient Taoist practitioners called the fuel for this process jing, not as poetry, but as a real biological substance. A dense reserve of life force stored in the reproductive system and lower abdomen. Modern endocrinology now mirrors this idea almost perfectly. What Taoists called jing aligns closely with androgenic precursor reserves, the raw hormonal material the body uses to synthesize testosterone. And according to ancient Taoist maps, this energy was meant to travel upward through the Du-Mai channel, the governing meridian running along the spine toward the brain. What's fascinating is that modern anatomy reveals an eerily similar pathway. The sympathetic nervous system trunk, the cerebrospinal fluid channel, and the neural connection running from the sacrum toward the pineal region. 2,000 years before neuroscience existed, Taoist practitioners were describing the same biological route using different language. Now here's where things become shocking. When this hormonal substrate is preserved instead of unconsciously depleted, when the body is allowed to redirect that energy upward during the hypnagogic window instead of dispersing it downward during fragmented sleep, testosterone production changes dramatically. One 7-day retention study measured a staggering 145.7% increase in testosterone levels by night 7. Think about that. Not a 10% boost. Not a tiny optimization. A 145% androgenic rebound. That is not motivation. That is biology finally functioning the way it was designed to. But before you can activate this process, you need to understand what's stealing it from you every night. Because there are 5 major hormonal leaks destroying the substrate men over 45 can no longer afford to waste. Leak number 1. Blue light after 9 p.m. This may be the most destructive habit in the modern world. Short wavelength light from phones, tablets, televisions, and LED bulbs can suppress pineal melatonin production by up to 85%, effectively shutting down the ignition sequence before your body even enters the hypnagogic state. You think you're relaxing with your phone. But biologically, you're blinding the very gland responsible for initiating hormonal repair. Leak number 2. Late night eating. Every insulin spike after 9 p.m. forces your body into glucose processing mode instead of nighttime restoration mode. And the body cannot prioritize deep androgenic synthesis while simultaneously digesting a heavy meal. One system wins. The other shuts down. Most men unknowingly sacrifice testosterone production for a midnight snack. Leak number 3. Stress, news, and endless scrolling before bed. Here's the truth nobody says clearly enough. Every cortisol spike before sleep directly suppresses testosterone rebound during the night. Cortisol and testosterone operate like opposite ends of a biological seesaw. The higher your stress hormones rise at night, the weaker your hormonal recovery becomes. That means doom scrolling, political outrage, financial anxiety, and overstimulation before sleep aren't just bad habits. They are hormonal sabotage. Leak number 4. Unconscious nocturnal depletion. This is the topic almost nobody dares to discuss openly. During fragmented light sleep, involuntary arousal patterns can drain androgenic precursor reserves before the body completes its synthesis cycle. The reservoir empties before repair is finished. Ancient Taoists warned about this constantly. Do not release downward at night. Redirect upward. They believed preservation created power. Modern hormone research is beginning to suggest they may have been right. And leak number 5. Shallow chest breathing. Most men never breathe deeply enough to activate parasympathetic dominance before sleep. Shallow breathing traps the body in low-grade stress mode and prevents full thoracic expansion, the very condition needed for upward energetic flow through the spinal pathway. In other words, some men are anatomically blocking the process they are trying to activate. Now listen carefully. These are not character flaws. You are not weak. You are not broken. And your body is not too old. Your environment has simply been training your biology against itself. And once that environment changes, everything begins changing with it. The ancient Taoist masters of the Han dynasty documented these practices in texts that survived more than 22 centuries. Their instructions were surprisingly specific. Seal the lower gate. Preserve the essence. Redirect upward. Feed the higher centers. The pineal gland, what they called the upper dantian, was always the target. And what's truly fascinating is that the exact same instruction appears across entirely different civilizations. Egyptian mystery school initiates practiced nighttime energy conservation rituals designed to activate what they called the Ka body, the energetic double awakened during sleep. Nikola Tesla described consciously conserving his life force and redirecting it into mental clarity and creative power. His nightly routine reportedly included breath control, intentional mental instruction before sleep, and entering unconsciousness deliberately. Different cultures. Different language. Same biological mechanism. And now modern hormonal studies are beginning to confirm what these ancient systems discovered without laboratories. The body changes when the substrate is preserved. Here's what the 7-night hormonal timeline actually looks like. Nights 1 and 2. The pineal gland begins recalibrating. Melatonin production increases. Sleep deepens. Dreams become more vivid. Most men notice they fall asleep faster and enter deeper sleep stages earlier. Nights 3 and 4. Cortisol begins dropping. You wake up with a strange kind of clarity, not the artificial stimulation of caffeine, but a calm, clean focus that feels natural. The nervous system finally stops fighting itself. Nights 5 and 6. Androgenic rebound becomes noticeable. Physical drive returns. Mental endurance improves. Motivation rises without forcing it. Several men in the research group reported spontaneous morning erections returning for the first time in years, not as a random side effect, but as a direct biological signal that testosterone restoration was occurring. And then comes night 7. The ignition point. The measured 145.7% testosterone surge appears not as a sudden miracle, but as the cumulative result of 6 nights of preserved hormonal substrate. Ancient Taoists called this the 7th seal, the night the lower gates fully close and the upper centers activate. Modern endocrinology calls it peak androgenic rebound. Different vocabulary. Same event. So now I want to ask you something personally. What night are you on right now? Night 1? Night 3? Or are you approaching night 7? Comment your night below and tell me what changes you begin noticing in your sleep, focus, energy, or recovery. I want to see how many people experience this shift together. Now let's get into the actual ritual. 3 parts. Less than 4 minutes. Performed only once at the exact moment you lie down to sleep. Step 1. Seal. Gently engage the pelvic floor muscles at the root of the body. Not strain. Not tension. Just subtle closure. At the same time, begin the 4-7-8 breathing cycle. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 7. Exhale slowly for 8. Repeat twice. This activates parasympathetic dominance, calms the nervous system, and prepares the upward redirect of energy through the spinal pathway. You are not suppressing energy. You are redirecting it. Step 2. Instruct. As you enter the hypnagogic threshold, when imagery begins appearing behind closed eyes and consciousness starts dissolving, give one simple internal command. Silently repeat it 3 times. My body restores peak testosterone through the night. Do not force it. Do not visualize aggressively. Do not overthink it. The subconscious becomes uniquely receptive during this threshold state. And the body listens differently there. Step 3. Surrender. Release every remaining muscle completely. Jaw, shoulders, hands, abdomen. Let go fully. The process now unfolds automatically. Your only task is non-interference. Because your body already knows how to repair itself when the environment stops interrupting the cycle. That is the entire protocol. 3 steps. 4 minutes. 7 nights. And according to both ancient systems and modern hormonal research, that may be enough to completely change the way your body recovers during sleep. If this resonates with you, the next layer goes even deeper. The vagus nerve activation sequence expands the same spinal pathway during the day, while ancient sound resonance practices used by Taoist and Egyptian practitioners were specifically designed to prime the pineal gland before sleep. Different civilizations, different symbols, different names, but all of them were pointing toward the same hidden hormonal window most modern men have forgotten exists.